Good evening, hello, and welcome back to the 48 Laws of Power discussion series, a book by Robert Greene, a New York Times best-selling book by Robert Greene. I am your host, Darth Hideous, as always, and I would like to welcome on board a new platform. We are no longer just live on YouTube and Rumble. I would like to welcome the Zitter/Twix empire to the fold. So everybody who may be watching on that platform, I have no idea how it works yet. So I don't know if there's actually a chat. We have a tab that we didn't have muted. Oh dear. Okay, so let's give a warm welcome to everybody in chat before we get started. We've got Small Mousin. Hey, Mousy. Cat Ninja in the crowd. Shiloh Mania. That is my YouTube crew. Over on Rumble, we've got Cat Ninja, First One Shot, and myself. Ooh. And if there's a chat for the Twitter side of things, I can't seem to find it. So if anybody knows how that works, go ahead and shoot me a message or something. Because I'm not entirely sure about that one. Anyway. Texas Jen in the house. Heidi. The gang is all filing in. Firsty is over here on the YouTube side as well. Adequate alcohol in the Rumble. Uh, Another unmuted tab. I thought I muted all of these before I started live. Oh boy. One of those days. But anyway, we have made it, y'all, all the way to Law 39 out of 48. It has been a grind, and we are almost there. Tonight should be fun, because the title of tonight's law is Stir Up Waters to Catch Fish. Is there like a chat feature in the X stream? Because I was watching someone do a live stream on X earlier, and there was a chat, and then I click on the one that I'm doing now, and I find nothing of the sort. But I can see you in the replies. Maybe I need to like enable something, or maybe I need to be like one of those. I seen you testing in the comments. It doesn't post like a live chat. It posts like a response board. Yeah, I seen your testing, sir. Thank you for that, Firsty, my amigo. Really do appreciate it. I think we've got, it says 6 views. I don't know if that translates to actual viewers or whatnot, but that's cool that people are watching on the Twitter X Zitter Twix side. Drop your Twitch link for me, please. I can find you on there. It's not Twitch. It's Twitter X. And hold on, I will grab the stream link for the Twitter stream. Dump it in the chat in case anybody wants to like go check that out or follow me on Twitter. Like, I mostly just repost and shitpost memes and a bunch of anti-government stuff, or anti-government sentiments anyway. Yeah, the tweeter went trans, so now it's Zitter or Twix. Yeah, Twatter's X, indeed. Anyway, let me bring up this book. We're gonna do a little reading. We are going to get into the discussion. I'm excited for this one because I read The Judgment, and there's a really long story right at the beginning about you know me and my love for the Japanese tea ceremony, Chow no Yu. So that'll be lovely to get into. Oops, that's not even the tab. I was clicking the wrong button. Dang it. Okay, there we go. We're all set up for Law 39. And I wasn't quite sure because some of these titles are quite ambiguous. Just what the hell Robert Greene meant when he said stir up waters to catch fish. Does anybody have any ideas what he might have been getting at with that? Because as far as I know, if you disturb the waters when you're actually fishing, the fish tend to become a lot less likely to bite. Or that's been my experience anyway. So what does he mean by stirring up waters to catch fish? And my suspicion has to do with, well, I'm gonna tell you what my suspicion is after this, but like I said, I kind of have already peeked at the judgment, so spoiler, my, uh, my suspicion is something I already know. Uh, that's actually a really good answer. Stir up shit to find the bad guys is it's pretty close. It's more like stir up people into an emotional frenzy to get them to make mistakes. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Judgment, anger, and emotion are strategically counterproductive. You must always stay calm and objective. But if you can make your enemies angry while staying calm yourself, you gain a decided advantage. Put your enemies off balance. Find the chink in their vanity through which you can rattle them and hold the strings. Ha ha, I just did a racism. Chink. But it's like an armor chink, though. Don't ban me, YouTube. You assholes. Itakura Shigemune grinds his own tea, y'all. The Kyoto Shoshidai Itakaro Suwo no Kami Shigemune. That is one hell of a fucking name, and that's why I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to read this just because of that name right there. We're gonna just call him Itakaru from now on. He was very fond of Chow no Yu, the Japanese tea ceremony, of course, as we know, and used to grind his own tea while sitting in the court as judge. And the reason was this. He once asked a friend of his, who was his companion in Chow no Yu, a tea merchant named Ikai, to tell him frankly what was the public opinion about him. Well, said Ikai, they say that you get irritated with those who don't give their evidence very clearly and scold them. And so people are afraid to bring lawsuits before you, and if they do, the truth does not come out. Ah, I am glad you have told me that, replied Shigemune. Oh, I thought we were going to call him Itakaru. Come on, guys. Get with it. For now that I consider it, I have fallen into the habit of speaking sharply to people in this way. And no doubt humble folk and those who are not ready in speech get flurried and are unable to put their case in the best light. I will see to it that this does not occur in the future. So after this, he had a tea mill placed before him in court, and in front of it the paper covered shoji were drawn to, and Shigemune sat behind them and ground the tea and thus kept his mind calm while he heard the cases. And he could easily see whether his composure was ruffled or not by looking at the tea, which would not fall evenly ground to the proper consistency if he got excited. So it sounds like our man Itakaru Shigemune kind of has the OG fidget spinner, if you will. Like just or the stress ball, something to just focus your emotion or focus your calm. Find your calm, happy center. He found it in grinding his own tea, and he used that as a way to measure his own behavior, which I think is quite brilliant, especially if you have trouble like controlling your irritation, which I is no secret to most people do have. And so, justice was done impartially, and people went away from his court satisfied. Chow no Yu, The Japanese Tea Ceremony by A.L. Sadler. And that really does lead into the first key element of the issue of stirring up other people. You first have to not be stirrable yourself. Like, if you have an unshakable calm, that will actually frustrate the living hell out of people even more. So, if you can stir them up, just your calm alone will feed fuel to that fire. I know because I'm somebody who's not too difficult to stir up in the right moment. And you really do have to maintain your composure, especially when dealing with people who would be combative to you. Hello, Bijou on Rumble and Bijou in YouTube. I don't even know if I said hello. I seen you sneak in. Jujubee. Transgression of the law. In January of 1809, an agitated and anxious Napoleon hurried back to France from his Spanish wars. Oh no, not the French surrender monkeys again. Again with this shit, Robert Greene? Really? And this is, yeah. What's up, Maddie? Okay, anyway, what is Napoleon doing now? I swear to God, Napoleon's always up to something in this book. His spies and confidants had confirmed a rumor that his foreign minister Talleyrand had conspired against him with Fouché. Damn it, Fauci. We have heard about this conspiracy in previous laws. This is not news to us. The Minister of Police. Immediately on arriving in the capital, The shocked emperor summoned his ministers to the palace, following them into the meeting room right after their arrival. He began pacing up and down and started rambling vaguely about plotters working against him, speculators bringing down the stock market, legislators delaying his policies, and his own ministers undermining him. So the great Napoleon, the great emperor Napoleon, you can see in this image, is very shaken. He is extremely spun up, and he's kind of rambling like what I would describe as a paranoid lunatic. And he's doing this in front of who? Oh, yeah, all his ministers. Not a good look for the boss. Just saying. As Napoleon talked, Talleyrand leaned on the mantelpiece, looking completely indifferent. Facing Talleyrand directly, Napoleon announced, "For these ministers, treason has begun when they permit themselves to doubt." At the word treason, the ruler expected his minister to be afraid, but Talleyrand only smiled, calm and bored. The sight of a subordinate apparently serene in the faces of charges that could get him hanged pushed Napoleon to the edge. Getting warmer, and by warmer, I mean more heavily enraged. And that's not going to go well. This is already a bad look. They were ministers, he said, who wanted him dead, and he took a step closer to Talleyrand, who stared back at him unfazed. Finally, Napoleon exploded. "You are a coward!" I can't do a French accent, y'all. Sorry. Like some accents I can do. "You're le coward!" He screamed in Talleyrand's face. "A man of no faith. Nothing is sacred to you. You would sell your own father. I have showered you with riches, and yet there is nothing you would not do to hurt me." The other ministers looked at each other in disbelief. They had never seen this fearless general, the conqueror of most of Europe, so unhinged. Like I said, this is a terrible look. It's declare Comcast fake and gay. Okay, I think I'm back now. Sound off in the chats if I have returned to power. And I'm sorry, y'all, like, usually my connection's very, very solid. This type of shit doesn't happen. I think I have to refresh the chats because they're broken. Bear with me. My goodness. Ah, my goodness indeed. Maybe I'm back. I don't know if y'all caught that, but if this disconnects again, I'm just gonna say F it and do it tomorrow. Because right now, there's not a whole lot I can do to make Comcast get their life together. So I apologize for all the interruptions. I would really like to give a fine presentation. Yes, I see that I'm back now. I can see all of you. You can all hear me. That's good. Hopefully, Comcast, my router, whatever the hell it is that has died off, will go ahead and get its life together. Oh, now I see how to get to the chat for the X side. There's that. Okay, looks like. Oh wow, it literally does come through over here on. If you're in the actual chat for the X side, it does come through over here. Excellent. I did not know that, and now I know. Anyway, let's get back to it. Sorry, Indy, I'm having like significant connection issues. Yeah, see, Firsty, popping up in my StreamYard chat with that little X logo over your name instead of the YouTube logo. Yeah, that's pretty nifty. I like it. I like it a lot. Anyway, I got the book up still, and that's the one thing that didn't crash because that's actually native to my hard drive. Okay. Okay, back to Talleyrand the Coward and the unhinged Napoleon story. Everybody ready? Positions, places, everybody. Let's see if we can get through this before my internet decides to end the stream for good because I don't want to start this over with 90% of it done. You deserve to be broken like glass, Napoleon continued, stamping. I have the power to do it, but I have too much contempt for you to bother. Oh my goodness, famous last words. Napoleon. Okay. Napoleon's all fired up, and so am I, so that's good for the entire energy of this, isn't it? Why didn't I have you hanged from the gates of the Tuileries? But there is still time for that. Yelling, almost out of breath, his face red, his eyes bulging, he went on. You, by the way, are nothing but shit in a silk stocking. Oh, I love that. What about your wife? You never told me that San Carlos was your wife's lover. Ooh, calling out the cheating whore. Great play. Indeed, sire, it did not occur to me that this information had any bearing on your majesty's glory or my own, said Talleyrand calmly, completely unflustered. After a few more insults, Napoleon walked away. Talleyrand slowly crossed the room, moving with his characteristic limp. As an attendant helped him with his cloak, he turned to his fellow ministers, all afraid they would never see him again, and said, what a pity, gentlemen, that so great a man should have such bad manners. Ooh, my goodness. Hello, Forest Mommy on the tweeter side. Doing the first ever triple cast stream that I've done so far. That's a new addition to the lineup, the Twitter X platform. Now I just have to figure out how to integrate all the chats for Webble like other people do. I'll be able to see them all here. Yeah, it does seem to work pretty good. Hopefully my connection will hold and I can get through the rest of this damn stream. But yeah, Napoleon, in this moment, the most powerful emperor in Europe, has just made himself look a completely weak fool in front of all his ministers. I mean, that's a terrible idea. You're supposed to be in charge here, guy. We can't have you losing your shit like this. Oh, I am not. I'm on one hand not concerned. On the other hand, don't challenge me. I'm terrified. I've seen her bullying enough people on the Twitters last couple of days though, so I'm I'm good. I'm just chilling. Despite his anger, Napoleon did not arrest his foreign minister. Probably a huge mistake. He merely relieved him of his duties and banished him from the court. Probably the second mistake. He probably should have had Talleyrand and Fauché hanged like the treasonous traitors they were. Believing that for this man humiliation would be punishment enough. Oh my, how you have underestimated your opponent and let your anger blind you. He did not realize that word had quickly spread of his tirade and how the emperor had completely lost control of himself, and how Talleyrand had essentially humiliated him by maintaining his composure and dignity. A page had been turned. For the first time, people had seen the great emperor lose his cool under fire. A feeling spread that he was on the way down. As Talleyrand later said, this is the beginning of the end. So I guess stirring up waters to catch fish is very, very unhelpful if you're the one getting stirred up and you're the fish ending up getting caught. And if you really want to get people flustered, you can't yourself be flustered. That does not work on the strong. That approach only works on the weak. Because if you can maintain your cool and composure, not only do you operate from an appearance of strength, but you can think more clearly, respond more even handedly, and not let your emotions blind you into making really stupid, rash mistakes. I'm it may take me a second, guys. I have to write all this down because usually I just lose my shit and it's like, oh, should not have done that, my guy. So this is all fairly important to me. Interpretation. This was indeed the beginning of the end. Waterloo was still 6 years ahead, but Napoleon was on a slow descent to defeat. Crystallizing in 1812 with his disastrous invasion of Russia, Talleyrand was the first to see the signs of his decline, especially in the irrational war with Spain. Sometime in 1808, the minister decided for the future peace of Europe, Napoleon had to go. And so he conspired with Fauci. And he would conspire with that little fucking demon elf. I know it says Fauci, people. We don't speak surrender, monkey. Him and Fauci conspired to overthrow the emperor. This almost sounds like a story I've heard recently. Only our Fauci is the minister of science, and and our emperor was the Orange Man. Ooh. It is possible that the conspiracy was never anything more than a ploy, a device to push Napoleon over the edge. For it is hard to believe that the two of the most practical men in history would only go halfway in their plotting. They may have been only stirring the waters, trying to goad Napoleon into a misstep, and indeed, what they got was the tantrum that laid out his loss of control for all to see. Just a push, just a nice little push, and he snapped because he was already falling apart anyway. In fact, Napoleon's soon famous blow up that afternoon had a profoundly negative effect on his public image. This is the problem with the angry response. At first, it may strike fear and terror, but only in some, and those people are already weaker than you. And as the days pass and the storm clears, other responses emerge. Embarrassment and uneasiness about the shouter's capacity for going out of control, and resentment of what has been said. I really should be making a note that Law 39 is very important to my damn temperament. Losing your temper, you will always make unfair and exaggerated accusations. And few such tirades, and people are counting the days until you are gone. So, what he's trying to say is don't be an asshole. In the face of a conspiracy against him, a conspiracy between his two most important ministers, Napoleon certainly had a right to feel angry and anxious. But by responding so angrily and so publicly, he only demonstrated his frustration. To show your frustration is to show that you have lost your power to shape events. It is the helpless action of the child who resorts to a hysterical fit to get his way. The powerful never reveal this kind of weakness. There were a number of things Napoleon could have done in this situation. Like, dealing with it privately, for one, seems like a really good idea, but let's see what Mr. Greene has to say on the topic. And if y'all didn't know, the author of this wonderful New York Times bestseller, Mr. Robert Greene, he has his own YouTube channel. He's written a lot of other amazing works, and he does a bit of explanation and commentary of his own on this particular one on his channel. So if you're curious to learn more than we're going to be discussing here tonight, you should check him out on YouTube. I'm pretty sure one of my homies has the link to it, but I should probably have that on speed dial, like a few other things. There were a number of things Napoleon could have done in this situation. He could have thought about the fact that two eminently sensible men had had no reason to turn against him and could have listened and learned from them. He could have tried to win them back to him. He could even have gotten rid of them, making their imprisonment or death an ominous display of his power. No tirades, no childish fits, no embarrassing after effects, just a quiet and definitive severing of ties. And he could have done this not in front of everybody, also. Like, he could have just been like, oh, they're conspiring. Hang them. Treasonous bastards. Oh, I still kind of need them? Well, maybe you go ahead and you talk to them individually, or you plant a spy to try to gain information out of them. Although these two very crafty players of the game of power probably wouldn't have fallen for a spy, but yet somehow Napoleon managed to learn of their conspiracy. But he could have done 1,000 other things rather than have a damn fit in front of all his court ministers. That seems very weak. And yes, it is correct that this emotional tantrum is 100% a display of weakness and not strength. Remember, tantrums neither intimidate nor inspire loyalty. They only create doubts and uneasiness about your power. Exposing your weakness, these stormy eruptions often herald a fall. My oh my, I have been that example enough times to can verify it. And I think we've all seen something like this where somebody in a position of authority has a complete meltdown in front of way too many people, or I don't know, maybe they just forget where they are and try to walk the wrong way off the stage. Maybe they threaten their political opponents when they're on stage. Who knows? Like these these things are not signs of strength. If possible, no animosity should be felt for anyone. That's one of the core tenets of Jesus, who, if y'all don't know my man Jesus, the Lord, he does implore us to be forgiving and to be merciful. To speak angrily to a person, to show your hatred by what you say or by the way you look, is an unnecessary, proceeding danger, foolish, ridiculous, and vulgar. Anger or hatred should never be shown otherwise than in what you do, and feelings will be all the more effective in action insofar as you avoid the exhibition of them in any other way. It is only the cold blooded animals whose bite is poisonous. You know, I never thought about that until just now. But yeah, that's a thing. Like, only like insects and reptiles have poisonous bites. Mammals don't have venomous bites. And if you can contain your venomous words, hmm, your bite becomes so much more potent. Unless you're bullying first shot, because he does deserve it. I'm not gonna lie. I am with Forest Mommy on this one. Cats have infectious claws. Well, that's bacteria, okay? And that's like in their paws and claws. That's not like that's just bacteria because they stand in their own shit. They bury it in a litter box. Yeah, that's which is really gross, and you don't want to get one of those infections, but it's not venomous. First shot. So the duck-billed platypus has a yes. They some have venomous claws, some have infectious claws. None of them have a poisonous bite, though. It is only the cold-blooded creatures. Schopenhauer nailed it. So be cold-blooded. Be the snake. Like, don't make a giant scene. Just coil, strike, and go on about your business if you have to. But for the most part, like, this is something I've needed to work on when I'm angry in a situation, giving it 24 hours before I actually respond. And if I'm still angry in 24 hours, then think about what I'm going to say. I'm very fucking terrible at this. But when I was trying it, I noticed something. 90% of the shit you were mad about 24 hours ago, you probably won't be mad about 24 hours later, or at least not so damn mad that you lose control of your temper. I mean, sometimes it's as quickly as like 2 hours, but it's like, oh shit, that was annoying, but it's not really that big of a deal, is it actually? No. And if you're going to stir up the waters, you can't be so easily stirred up yourself. T3 over on the Rumble side says dropped a like on YouTube and a thumbs up here rewatching at bedtime. Have a great show. Snuck away from modding over at Winning Realities, I assume, to leave a thumbs up. Well, that was lovely of you, Michelle. Thank you for that. Observance of the law. By the late 1920s, Haile Selassie, I don't know, I think so, had nearly achieved the goal of assuming total control over Ethiopia. Okay, so I'm not even going to be able to get any of these names right. We are going to go O for whatever number. A country he felt needed strong and unified leadership. I think it still does. As regent to the Empress Zauditu, stepdaughter of the late queen and heir to the throne, Selassie had spent several years weakening the power of Ethiopia's various warlords. A noble cause, if you ask me. OT3, I don't know if you're still listening, but Heidi Hey says hello from the YouTube side. Very, very hello. Much hello. That is for you. I'm assuming she's gone back to her modding over at Winnings, but now only one real obstacle stood in his way. The Empress and her husband, Ras Gugsa. What a name. Selassie knew the royal couple hated him and wanted to get rid of him. Well, he seems very ambitious. So, to cut short their plotting, he made Gugsa the governor of the northern province of Begemeter, forcing him to leave the capital where the empress lived. Aha, so he's basically packed you up and sent you away because he knows you're a schemer. You're welcome, Heidi. You know I love you guys. I mean, even if Michelle didn't hear that, she said she's going to catch the replay later, so she'll hear it then. Ha ha ha. And then she'll be like, oh, Heidi. For several years, Gugsa played the loyal administrator, but Selassie did not trust him. Isn't that why you sent him away in the first place? He knew that Gugsa and the Empress were plotting revenge. As time passed and Gugsa made no move, the chances of a plot only increased. Okay, that's how? Oh, like evidence of you not doing anything is evidence that you're doing something. The fuck? Oh, did Biju leave and then come back? I didn't even notice that she said she was leaving. I must have been too enthralled in constant stream death and trying to get this law out. Selassie knew what he had to do. Draw Gugsa out, get under his skin, and push him into action before he was ready. This sounds like you're manufacturing the plot against you. For several years, a northern tribe, the Azbugalas, had been in virtual rebellion against the throne, robbing and pillaging local villages and refusing to pay taxes. My heroes. Mm. Did you hear that, y'all? They were in virtual rebellion by robbing and pillaging villages and refusing to pay taxes. We got we got modern day people like that right now in our major cities. They're called mostly peaceful protesters. Mostly people looting a Walgreens protesters. Yeah, and those are mostly peaceful lootings too, by the way. So, but they refuse to pay taxes, and I love them for that. Selassie had done nothing to stop them, letting them grow stronger. Oh, this sounds familiar. This sounds almost like arming rebel groups to fight people we don't like in other countries. Oh, America does that, right? Oops. Yeah, we fund the terrorism. Finally, in 1929, he ordered Rasgugsa to lead an army against these disobedient tribesmen. Ah, so now he's controlling both sides. Gugsa agreed, but inwardly he seethed. He had no grudge against the Azbugalas, and the demand that he fight them hurt his pride. He could not disobey the order, but as he worked to put together an army, he began to spread an ugly rumor that Selassie was in cahoots with the Pope. Gay. I wonder if it was as gay then as it is now. Hello again, Shilomania. Yes, we are back. Like the internet did dead on me. Like, did do the dead. And it sucked. Oh my, did it suck. Oh, you're talking about first. But yeah. Seems to. Yeah, here's your mostly peaceful stabbing. Thank you, Great Liquor. Yes, we're all back. I'm glad everybody didn't just leave when my internet died. Because I probably would have been like, oh, well, that's the end of the show. It's over. And I would have been out. But you guys are way more patient and way more in control of your emotions than I am. And I have a lot to learn from all of you. And plan to convert the country to Roman Catholicism and make it a colony of Italy. Gugsa's army swelled, and some of the tribes from which its soldiers came secretly agreed to fight Selassie. In March of 1930, an enormous force of 35,000 men began to march, not on the Azabugalas, but south, toward the capital of Addis Ababa. Made confident by his growing strength, Gugsa now openly led a holy war to depose Selassie and put the country back in the hands of true Christians. You hear that, y'all? Catholics aren't real Christians. This book says so. That makes it true. Gugsa said so. He did not see the trap that had been laid for him. Before Selassie had ordered Gugsa to fight the Azabugalas, he had secured the support of the Ethiopian church. And before the revolt got underway, he had bribed several of Gugsa's key allies not to show up for battle. As the rebel army marched south, airplanes flew overhead, dropping leaflets announcing that the highest church officials had recognized Selassie as the true Christian leadership of Ethiopia, and that they had excommunicated Gugsa for fomenting a civil war. Now, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I can kind of see something like this happening right here at home in what I suspect to be the not too distant future. Maybe not exactly this thing, but I could smell something like this on the horizon with what's all going on with the 25 states and 3 Canadian provinces of Texas. It doesn't seem far fetched. These leaflets severely blunted the emotions behind the Holy Crusade. And as battle loomed up and the support that Gugsa's allies had promised him failed to show up, soldiers began to flee or defect. Oh, bro, your army's falling apart. When the battle came, the rebel army quickly collapsed. Refusing to surrender, Rasgugsa was killed in the fighting. The empress, distraught over her husband's death, died a few days later. On April 30th, Selassie issued a formal proclamation announcing his new title, Emperor of Ethiopia. Oops, you walked right into it. You let your anger blind you, and you walked right into it. Big fucking oof. So, what can we learn from Gugsa? We will find out after we talk about the monkey and the wasp. A monkey, whilst munching a ripe pear, was pestered by the bare-faced importunities of a wasp, who, nolens volens, would have a part. After threatening the monkey with his anger if he further hesitated to submit to his demand, he settled on the fruit, but was as soon knocked off by the monkey. The irritable wasp now had recourse to invective, and after using the most insulting language, which the other calmly listened to, he so worked himself up into a violent passion that, losing all consideration of the penalty, he flew to the face of the monkey and stung him with such rage that he was unable to extricate his weapon and was compelled to tear himself away, leaving it in the wound, thus entailing on himself a lingering death accompanied by pains much greater than those he had inflicted. Jonathan Birch. So this wasp lost his cool, stung the monkey. Okay. Got his stinger stuck. Oops. Ripped it off and went and bled out. Was it worth it, homie? Was it worth it? Seems like he did have to let it linger. Like he had to leave it behind. And I mean, entailing on himself a lingering death. I mean, that's pretty much suicide for a wasp. You rip your stinger off. Ouch. But yeah, he ended up suffering much worse than his good buddy the monkey, who only got stung in the face by a wasp and probably didn't die. Interpretation. Let's see what we can learn from Mr. Googsa's failure. Look at that. Isn't Judge Maddie so adorable? You're totes adorbs, boomer. Totes adorbs. Interpretation. Haile Selassie always saw several moves ahead, playing chess, not checkers. He knew that if he let Rosgutsa decide the time and place of the revolt, the danger would be much greater than if he forced Gugsa to act on his terms. So he goaded him into rebellion by offending his manly pride, asking him to fight people he had no quarrel with on behalf of a man he hated. Thinking everything out ahead, Selassie made sure that Gugsa's rebellion would come to nothing. I mean, it sounds like he had the whole damn thing infiltrated like a damn Fed plot from the very beginning. You got set up, bro, and there is no recourse for you now. And that he could use it to do away with his last two enemies, Gugsa and the Empress, of course. This is the essence of the law. When the waters are still, your opponents have the time and space to plot actions that they will initiate and control. So stir the waters, force the fish to the surface, get them to act before they are ready, steal the initiative. The best way to do this is to play upon uncontrollable emotions, pride, vanity, love, hate. Once the water is stirred up, the little fish cannot help but rise to the bait. The angrier they become, the less control they have, and finally they are caught in the whirlpool you have made, and they drown. You hear that, small mousin'? We're coming to your fish tank and we're stirring up the waters. Be prepared. We have watched the Orange Man do just that. Stir up his enemies and make them act irrationally, Great Liquor? Is that what you mean we've seen the Orange Man do? He goes ahead and instigates like the seething rage of the intolerant left. Yes, he's very masterful at getting them not just to behave emotionally and irrationally, but to actually show their immature, emotional, irrational behavior. It's quite a spectacle, and it makes for a hell of a meme like montage of people just losing their shit. Ditch High Priest. Kinyo, an officer of the second rank, had a brother called the High Priest Ryogaku, an extremely bad-tempered man. Next to his monastery grew a large nettle tree, which occasioned the nickname people gave him, the Nettle Tree High Priest. That name is outrageous, said the High Priest, and cut down the tree. The stump still being left, people referred to him now as the Stump High Priest. More furious than ever, Ryogaku had the stump dug up and thrown away, but this left a big ditch, and people now called him the Ditch High Priest. Oh man, if you'd have just left it at the nettle tree, bro. Or maybe put something else there and they'd call you that. Like put a giant eagle there. The Eagle High Priest. Everyone would love it, especially you. Oh yeah, this. Go if you do like actual fish and they're fish in tanks. Small Mousen's got a very very aquatic brigade stream, and it's basically fish and snail tanks. Yeah, so that's way more calming and peaceful than like watching the news and or like other things that you could be doing. Essays in Idleness, Kenko, Japan, 14th century. A sovereign should never launch an army out of anger. A leader should never start a war out of wrath. I'm talking to you, Joe Biden. Sun Tzu. Literally very Sun Tzuian. Do calm the fuck down when we don't need to nuke Iran. Just calm the fuck down. It'll we'll figure it out. There's a better way other than bombing the living shit out of a sovereign nation. Keys to power. Angry people usually end up looking ridiculous. We've all seen the Karen tantrums. We've seen far fewer men do the Karen tantrums on the like if you do the Twitters, and I do, you can see mostly Karens losing their shit, but some Kevins losing their shit as well. Karens and Kevins be unable to control their damn emotions, and they always look fucking ridiculous. And that's what makes it hilarious. Uh, am I missing something about your? Is there a reference there that I don't get? I feel like uh, I feel like that might be the case. For the response seems out of proportion to what occasioned it, and it almost always is. They have taken things too seriously, exaggerating the hurt or insult that has been done to them. They are so sensitive to slight. Ah, the damn snowflakes. That it becomes comical how much they take personally. Oh, if you haven't spent any time on X, like just go point out the obvious to people and watch them lose their shit. More comical still is their belief that their outbursts signify power. Yes. This is definitely 100% an accurate, adequate commentary on these social justice warrior retards. I said it. I said retards. They're ridiculous. And they get offended about everything because, oh, got, gotcha. At least everybody else got the freaking reference, even though I didn't because I am artard. The truth is the opposite. Petulance is not power. It is a sign of helplessness. People may temporarily be cowed by your tantrums, but in the end, they lose respect for you. They also realize they can easily undermine a person with so little self control. And that is why these people are so easy to manipulate with whatever the next phase of bullshit they're going to be pissed off about is, because they have no control, they have no power. They are, in fact, helpless in reality. And that sucks for them. However, people need to stop kowtowing to these fucking people and tell them to go eat a bag of shit or something. Just fuck off or something. But go leave me alone. I don't give a fuck. But the fact that they can use their little outbursts and their tantrums to get what they want because people, I don't know, feel sorry for them. I hope they're not fucking scared of these idiots. Slapping Antifa just to show you how tough they are. Only I'm afraid I might break it. The answer, however, is not to repress our angry or emotional responses, for repression drains us of energy and pushes us into strange behavior. Do not bottle up your rage. Anger is a natural emotion. We all go through it. We all go through those times where our ire is up, our anger is up. I don't even know if this is okay, but when First Shot first got here, he said he was in a foul mood and he was hoping that he didn't take it out on anybody here. He knew he was angry, but he didn't do any outbursts. I don't think he was mad at anybody here, but he would have been very silly if he'd have took out whatever anger he had on us, anyone, literally. Like, he knows that. He's a very smart gentleman. He just plays retard on TV. Ah, it's more of a sour disposition. Okay, fair enough. Like, just a little grumpy then, not angry. Okay, well, bad example then, but still, you didn't make an outburst to show your ass. People here have almost everybody here has seen me show my ass at least once or twice. I'm a very passionate person and I can let my temper get way out of control very quickly. Speaking of people who have seen me lose my shit, hey, Frog, I see you over there on the Rumble side. I jacked his style, son, and I've gone live on the 3 platforms: the Rumble, the YouTube, and the Zitter Twix. If y'all don't know, Cool Frog does an exploring spirituality stream on Sunday on his Rumble channel. I also stream that here to my Rumble channel as well. And, well, I have been because I've been joining him to talk the book of Matthew. And as he found out Sunday when we did our stream, I have a lot to say in regards to the book of Matthew. So that should take several weeks, maybe even a couple of months to get through it. But every Sunday, I think I want to say 8:30 Eastern time, 6:30 in the mountains. We do the exploring spirituality, and right now we're doing Book of Matthew. Well, he does. I'm joining him specially for the Book of Matthew. I am not actually a permanent fixture on the show, but I did want to talk about that because that one's really, really important to me. Once or twice, right, Maddie? Like, everyone's seen it once or twice. My outbursts usually don't last long. I usually realize that, oh my, I'm doing that thing again, and I leave. But sometimes I just pop off. We all know. It's part of my unique special charm because nobody fears it and nobody takes me seriously. Everyone's like, "Oh, Darth's just probably being a drunk asshole again." Like, let him go. We'll see him again in a day or so when he's sobered up and realized he's a douchebag. Boop off. Yep, just like that, Cat Ninja. Just boop right the fuck out of it. Instead of repressing our emotions, We have to change our perspective. We have to realize that nothing in the social realm and in the game of power is personal. Even if it fucking is personal, even if it is intended personally to you, you don't have to take it personal. You have to choose to take that shit personal. Even if somebody hates you and wants you dead, like, them hating you has nothing to do with you. Them trying to make you dead, yeah, I mean, it might be personal, but they still want you dead regardless. You still got to deal with that reality. So don't focus on, like, the person, focus on the thing that's happening. Everyone is caught up in a chain of events that long predates the present moment. Okay, time out. I've been saying this for a while now. I've said it on other people's streams. I've said it on my own streams. I have pointed out a very specific thing. Everyone is saying that the United States of America is on collapse. Oh no, did I lose connection again? Who's gone quiet? Oh, uh, my bad. What did y'all? How much did y'all miss? I was just about to get into this first sentence here. It says everyone is caught up in a chain of events that long predates the present moment, and I was going to use a example of the fall of the current American empire and where it began. A lot of people are of the opinion that sometime around 2000 to 2008, America started collapsing. There are a lot of other people who trace it back to the Great Society and the Great Welfare Expansion of the 1960s. There are people still who trace it back even further to the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913. But I would argue the America that actually was founded by the founding fathers died after the Civil War. And what we are today is just wearing the skin suit of that idea and the name. It's not America anymore, and it hasn't been since the 1860s. Or at least shortly after that with the intolerable acts and whatnot. That was like the first real shift. So like to say today, and I hear this a lot, we gotta save America. Bitch, this is not America. Whatever this is like the fourth generation of things that are not America. Like, because you have the Civil War, then the Federal Reserve, then the Great Welfare Expansion of the 60s, and then finally you got all the bullshit coming in from, like, yeah, basically, I don't even know, like, when the last time the 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 representative government represented any of us. But it's been a lot longer than we know. Our anger often stems from problems in our childhood. Oh, not this bullshit. From the problems of our parents, which stem from their own childhood on and not this Freudian nonsense. Our anger also has roots in the many interactions with others. That's more like it, like, because all of our interactions are going to have some sort of cost benefit. Like, you will be changing. What's up, Xander? You will be changing constantly every day. Like, every interaction you have will tweak who you are or who you were before that just slightly, just by having it. And a lot of our anger does come from our interactions with others and our capacity to blame them. The accumulated disappointments and heartaches that we have suffered. But that's usually because we refuse to take responsibility for our own emotions, own our own problems, and realize that whether you were slighted or not, you can choose whether or not to really let that eat at you or to just let it go. An individual will often appear as the instigator of our anger, but it is much more complicated, goes far beyond what that individual did to us. I'm fairly certain I just explained it in a couple of sentences. It's not that fucking complicated. Like, you're responsible for how you react to everything that happens around you, to you, with you. Only thing you can control is you. I mean, at the very basis of it, in most situations, to have power to manipulate the situations, you have to have control of yourself at the very basis of fundamentals. Otherwise, you will never have the power to influence any of the happenings around you. If a person explodes with anger at you and it seems out of proportion to what you did to them, you must remind yourself that it is not exclusively directed at you. Do not be so vain. So they might be mad at you in this moment, but they're bringing a lot more of the underlying anger that people hold on to that disproportionate situation because they've been bottling and repressing their anger instead of dealing with it in a healthy manner or using it as a tool of power because you can use your anger to fuel your ambition to become stronger, but you have to have control of it. You must control it. The cause is much larger, goes way back in time, involves dozens of prior hurts, and is actually not worth the bother to understand. Why are you mad? Guess what? I don't give a fuck. Instead of seeing it as a personal grudge, look at the emotional outburst as a disguised power move, an attempt to control or punish you, cloaked in the form of hurt feelings and anger. So, yes, all these little oppression Olympians that try to guilt you and shame you with their little childish outbursts and tantrums and whatnots, tell them to fuck off. Tell them all to fuck off. It's literally not hard. Just like, hey, buddy, nobody cares about you bitching. Shut up. We used to do shit like that because that is what it is. It's a fucking disguised power move. Like when they call you a bigot or a racist or a homophobe or say you hate women, they know they don't have an argument against any of the things you're actually saying, and they just want you to shut up. Just tell them to fuck off. Calling me a racist because I point out that there's like inequities and like crime and poverty between the black community and the white community, like exponential discrepancies there. It's not fucking racist. Eh, And if you think I'm racist for that, I don't give a shit. This shit is reality. It's sorry the facts don't fucking care. Oh god, I almost quoted fucking the drunkest rapper in the country, Ben Shapiro. He thinks he's the number one rapper. Oh, hey, Texas Gene. Texas Jen again, I mean. The shift of perspective will let you play the game of power with more clarity and energy. Instead of overreacting and becoming ensnared in people's emotions, you will turn their loss of control to your advantage. You keep your head while they are losing theirs. And I mean, I have had to have a more physical altercations outside of an actual martial arts gym in my life than I care to even admit. A lot of that is the fact that I have the very keen ability to provoke blind rage in people because I am just as disrespectful in real life as I am on here sometimes, especially with people who are much larger and stupider than me. So I've had to have a few very overmatched physical altercations in my time. And yes, I have lost a couple of those quite clearly, like just being overpowered and oversized, but the ability to keep my cool in a fight has also won me a great number of fights that I probably definitely 100% would have not just lost, but I would have gotten ruined in had I let some of the emotions that inspired me to pick the fight in the first place have actual control over me in the moment. Yes, I was very mad and I wanted to I provoked a couple of these, like I said, like not innocent about it. I wanted the fight, but I didn't just blindly go attack somebody because that's immediately going to put me in a very, very disadvantaged situation rather than I instigated and got them to blindly come attack me. Oh, I'm a lover, not a. I mean, I'm a lover now, and I'm more calm and collected than I used to be, but I didn't always used to be. I'm getting old. Fighting is not nearly as much fun as it used to be, and it takes forever to recover from a fight now. So, yeah, I don't usually like. I definitely try to avoid physical altercations, and as far as like having like verbal altercations and arguments, that's just a fucking dumb waste of time. During an important battle in the War of the Three Kingdoms in the 3rd century AD, advisors to the commander Cao Cao discovered documents showing that certain of his generals had conspired with the enemy and urged him to arrest and execute them. That's what you're supposed to do when you've got proof that they're doing treason. You're supposed to arrest them and execute them. But people don't always do this for a reason. Instead, he ordered the documents burned and the matter forgotten, although I guarantee you he never forgot it. At this critical moment in the battle, to get upset or demand justice would have reverberated against him. An angry action would have called attention to the general's disloyalty, which would have harmed the troops' morale. Uh, Absolutely, like he would have probably killed their whole morale and spirit. Like, oh dear, we're fighting for corrupt traitors. That's not. I mean, that's not. That's no bueno. Have we been working for the enemy this whole time? Justice could wait. He would deal with the generals in time. Cao Cao kept his head and made the right decision. Compare this to Napoleon's response to Talleyrand. Instead of taking the conspiracy personally, the emperor should have played the game like Cao Cao. Just so, not great, not terrible, so. Did he use the document flyer to make some delicious General Tso's chicken? I would imagine so. At this point, I would not be surprised. Carefully weighing the consequences of any action he took. To the more powerful response in the end would have been to ignore Talleyrand or to bring the minister gradually back to his side and punish him later. Anger only cuts off our options, and the powerful cannot thrive without options. Absolutely. Because if you're pushed into the if you're funneled into the chute by someone more powerful than you and all of your options and exits are taken away, you are definitely not in control of the situation. And if you don't have control of the situation in a matter of power, the results can be disastrous. Once you train yourself not to take matters personally and to control your emotional responses, you will have placed yourself in a position of tremendous power. Now you can play with the emotional responses of other people. Stir the insecure into action by impugning their manhood. That's part of how I managed to instigate a lot of the fights I was just referencing a little bit ago. And you will be surprised how easy it is to turn a man into a child with a few choice words regarding his manhood, his masculinity. You can almost always find that button somewhere. If all else fails, push the yo mama button. But it's not hard to manipulate most people. Most people don't have their emotions in check to that point. Some people don't fucking care. And by dangling the prospect of an easy victory before their faces, do as Houdini did when he challenged when challenged by the less successful escape artist Clapini. Reveal an apparent weakness. If y'all remember this story, like they were doing a challenge and he had some combination cuffs that Houdini had let Clapini steal the combination to the cuffs to lure your opponent into action. Then you can beat him with ease. With the arrogant, you can appear weaker than you are, taunting them into a rash action. And then yeah, after they did a little wrestling match, he changed the combination on the pair of cuffs that he had learned the combination to fraud, and he couldn't get out of them because he was a fraud, which is hilarious. But yeah, that's the Houdini and Clapini story right there. He's a fraud. Anywho, Sun Pin, commander of the armies of Yi and loyal disciple of Sun Tzu, once led his troops against the armies of Wei, which outnumbered him 2-1. Let us light 100,000 fires when our army enters Wei, suggested Sun Pin. 50,000 on the next day, and only 30,000 on the third. That's a lot of fires, bro. On the third day, the Y general exclaimed, I knew the men of Chi were cowards. After only 3 days more than Half of them deserted. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, I hope you know what's coming next. This is called being baited. So, leaving behind his slow-moving heavy infantry, the general decided to seize the moment and move swiftly on the Yi camp with a lightly armed force. Sun Pin's troops retreated, luring Wei's army into a narrow pass where they ambushed and destroyed them. With the Wei general dead and his forces decimated, Sun Pin now easily defeated the rest of his army. In the face of a hot-headed enemy, finally, an excellent response is no response. Follow the Talleyrand tactic. Nothing is as infuriating as a man who keeps his cool while others are losing theirs. I believe we said that way back at the beginning. And I believe I said the last time we discussed this subject about not letting shit get to you. I can't remember what law that was at this point. Which one was it? Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is best revenge. Yes, in that law, we discussed this ability of the nothing response. If it will work to your advantage to unsettle people, affect the aristocratic bored pose, neither mocking nor triumphant, simply indifferent. This will light their fuse. When they embarrass themselves with a temper tantrum, you will have gained several victories. One of these being that in the face of their childishness, you have maintained your dignity and composure. So don't engage in the screaming match. I know somebody who's actually really good at maintaining their composure in this type of situation because sometimes when I need to yell, I yell at a friend of mine who is very calm and very composed, and that friend is the Jujubee. And she's amazing at keeping her temper in a situation because she'll just tell me to fuck off. Stop acting like that. Which I will eventually once whatever I was pissed off about burns out. Image. The pond of fish. The waters are clear and calm, and the fish are well below the surface. Stir the waters, and they emerge. Stir it some more, and they get angry, rising to the surface, biting whatever comes near, including a freshly baited hook. I've never actually had this tactic work for me. I need to bring my dogs fishing more often. They love to like stir the water up because they're swimming dogs. Maybe they could help me catch fish. Huh. Interesting concept. Authority. If your opponent is of a hot temper, try to irritate him. If he is arrogant, try to encourage his egotism. One who is skilled at making the enemy move does so by creating a situation according to which the enemy will act. He entices the enemy with something he is certain to take. He keeps the enemy on the move by holding out bait, then attacks him picked troops. Sun Tzu. And this is 100% definitely the keeping of control of yourself and stirring up others' emotions. It's a very Sun Tzuan approach. Get your opponent to move before they are ready, before they are properly prepared, before they are confident in their victory, and then force them into an L. Aw shucks, says the friend Bijou, who knows this to be a factual statement that I just made. Reversal. Let's try to figure out when losing our cool can actually be beneficial. I I doubt it. When playing with people's emotions, you have to be careful. Study the enemy beforehand. Some fish are best left at the bottom of the pond. This ain't no joke. Sometimes you just don't want to invoke the wrath of the wrong person, because that could get you killed. The leaders of the city of Tyre, capital of ancient Phoenicia, felt confident they could withstand Alexander the Great. Oh boy, good luck. Who had conquered the Orient but had not attacked their city, which stood well protected on the water. They sent ambassadors to Alexander, saying that although they would recognize him as emperor, they would not allow him or his forces to enter their city. This, of course, enraged him, and he immediately mounted a siege. For 4 months, the city withstood him, and finally he decided that the struggle was not worth it and that he would come to terms with the Tyrians. But they, feeling that they had already baited Alexander and gotten away with it, confident that they could withstand him, refused to negotiate. In fact, they killed the messengers. Oh, don't kill the messenger. It's unfortunate how, if you look at history, so many times they do kill the damn messenger. Aw, you guys, man. Look at yous. All being lovey and shit. Oh, fucking weirdos. This pushed Alexander over the edge. Now it did not matter to him how long the siege lasted or how large an army it needed. He had the resources and would do whatever it took. He remounted his assault so strenuously that he captured Tyre within days, burned it to the ground, and sold its people into slavery. Man, your first thing was, you know, recognizing him as emperor. You might have just wanted to let him in. Now look at you. Not you done gone and fucked around and you found out. You can bait the powerful and get them to commit and divide their forces as Sun Pin did, but test the waters first. Find the gap in their strength. If there is no gap, if they are impossibly strong, you have nothing to gain and everything to lose by provoking them. Choose carefully whom you bait and never stir up the sharks. Finally, there are times when a well timed burst of anger can do you good. But your anger must be manufactured and under your control. You see that? killing the herald was a killing the messengers was a major crime in Greece. Well, yeah, and I mean killing Alexander's heralds, like, you know who you're fucking with. You guys think you know who you're fucking with. I don't think you know who you're fucking with, though. Oops, oops, you fucked up. You fucked up. But as far as this goes, if you are going to display outward anger and contentment, it does have to be under your control. It cannot be an uncontrolled, unhinged outburst, even if you want it to appear as such. Suppose you wanted to mislead people into thinking you don't have emotional control and that you're unstable, and to get them to move against you. Then you can determine exactly how and on whom it will fall. Never stir up reactions that will work against you in the long run, and use your thunderbolts rarely to make them the more intimidating and meaningful. Whether purposefully staged or not, if your outbursts come too often, they will lose their power. So it's definitely not a card you want to play a whole hell of a lot. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I mean, I carry a gun, but still, I keep a gun in my pants, also. That's that's inappropriate for a shot. But anyway, that is the 39th law about stirring up the waters. Catch fish, beware of the sharks. Seems perfectly reasonable, perfectly rational, and all in all, try to avoid like having to use that. I mean, if you have to use that as a tactic, use it, but it's not the most effective tactic, and there is always the inherent danger that you may be fucking around and finding out. And yeah, definitely don't let people see your weakness by having the emotionally outbursties. They're very, very rarely useful. This has been 39, y'all. Wednesday. We're coming back at 8 p.m. We are finally on 40. And Law 40 is despise the free lunch. And all of us know that free comes with a dick in the ass. Because there ain't no such thing as free. So that ought to be another interesting discussion. I hope I see everybody on the YouTube side, on the Rumble side, and on the Zitter side, the X side. Welcome to the fold. All one of you watching on X, who I assume is either Forest Mommy or First One Shot. But yeah, back here Wednesday, 8 p.m. Law 40. We are going to despise us some free lunch because we say no to welfare. Fuck that shit. I love you all. I thank every single one of you for coming. The nine of you on YouTube, 1 to 2 on Twitter, and the 11 on the Rumble side. Rumble Gang always killing it. I love being on a platform where I'm not fucking shadow banned. But thank you all for coming. I hope everybody enjoyed. And for all of you in the replay gang, or for anybody who just might have a question regarding this law, we have always the option of using the comment section, even if you just want to pop in and say hi and call me a boomer for having my internet go out in the middle of the stream. Leave it in the comments section below. All your love, all your hate, all your questions, concerns, and emotional outbursts. I do respond to all messages when I get them, when I get to them. So I love you all. See you Wednesday. And yeah, seat belts and sidearms, y'all. It is actually getting really crazy out there. So stay strapped or get clapped. That is up to you. Darth Hideous is out.